Ooh. Oh! Hello, Chappets. You join me in the Temple of Wonders. I am looking for a board game. Apparently there's a board game in this temple, and it is meant to be a very, very good deduction game. It's meant to be a really fantastic deduction game, and I am here to find it. Ooh. Let's open it up. Oh yeah. Let's see what's inside. We have found treasure.
So this is Soul. It's a team game where the adventurers are against the conquistadors, and it's a race to find the sun god idol, which is hidden in one of the temples on this island. Players are going to be going in, looking for clues, and then eventually finding which temple it's in, and then grabbing the idol and running out as fast as they can. I'm going to show you how to set up this game. I'm going to show you how to play this game, and then I'm going to tell you what I think about this game and whether it's my cup of tea. And then I'll leave it up to you to decide whether this is something to go into your treasure chest or whether it should go into Warehouse 13 like the Ark of the Covenant. As I said, this is a game of two teams. You have the conquistadors in orange. These are very aggressive and very attackful. Yes, that is a word. Then you have the adventurers in blue. And these guys are good at moving around and good at searching. Now, depending on the number of players, you'll divide yourselves up evenly. So, in a two-player game, one player will take on the conquistadors and one player will take on the adventurers. Each player will choose 3 out of the 7 characters that they have and place them in front of them. In a 4-player game, each player will take 2 characters to form a team of 4. In a 6-player game, each player will take 1 character, which means that there'll be 3 characters per team, and the same goes for an 8-player game. If you're playing with young children, it's best to play the game with the non-special powered side. But if you're playing with adults or advanced children, or they are quite advanced players, then you should play with the advanced side, which has a special power for each character. And as you can see, the statistics change a little bit as well. When you take your character, you will take the wooden token that goes with that character. These are double-sided. As you can see, that's where they've been lost in a battle, and that's when they're on full health. And some of these characters actually come with some tokens, which you'll have to take with you. And these give him an advantage in attack. Here's a closer look at a character card. At the top here, we have the name, of course, this is Leonardo. And here we have how many spaces of displacement they can do on their turn. They can move 2 spaces. This is how much damage they do in an attack, and this is how many times you can search on your turn. These circles over here are holding spaces. If ever you're searching for a clue or whatever, and you find a token which you can use to up your attack or up your movement, you can place these in your holding area. Obviously, if all your holding area is filled up, you can no longer take any more tokens. You'll have to throw something away or use something on your turn. But as I said, you can use these anytime. So if you're in attacking, you can have an attack strength of 2 just for that turn. And of course, on the bottom here, we have the special power. So once you've chosen your characters, you've taken your starting ship and also the dice of your color, you are almost ready to play. One important thing you're going to need to do before you decide to start playing is decide the order of the characters. In other words, every time it's your team's turn, you're going to activate each character in order of how they're laid out on the table, or however you were sat at the table. So the conquistadors here will always activate Agulia first, so do all his actions, before moving to Cortez to do all his actions, and then Donabella at the end. The next thing you'll do is you'll need to place the board into the middle of the table. This board has some 3D terrain which sits on top like so. Scattered around the island, you'll see these skull icons. These are where you're going to be placing these temples. They come in two forms. You have squares and circles, which are yellow and green, and they have one set of stairs or 4 sets of stairs. You'll place these out randomly on these spaces. And you'll notice that there are 4 types of terrain, not including the sea. There are these sandy areas, there's the forest areas, there's these red rocky areas, and then there's the mountain areas. There are a selection of tokens. These are search tokens which are color coded to go with certain areas of the board. So what you'll have to do is place these out randomly. So all the sand tokens on the sand areas, the mountain on the mountain, the red areas, forest areas. Next to the board, you'll place this little reference sheet here. You'll place the sun god medallion and this sun god idol on top of that. There's also this deck of clue cards. You'll deal 2 to each team and the rest will go next to this board here, and you'll turn over the first card. And last but not least, these pirate flags will have to be placed next to that as well. And now we're ready to play. You will choose a starting team however you wish, either by rolling your dice to see who gets the highest result, or by just saying whoever's got the biggest nose. That starting team will then choose one of the 3 positions to start in. So let's say the adventurers decide that they're going to start here as the starting player. They would place their characters on their boat, and then they would take 2 of their coloured flags and place them on the docks next to where their boat is. And obviously the other team will do exactly the same. So, as I said, you'll activate your characters in the order as they're laid out in front of you, and then you can do any of the 3 actions, including your special power, in any order you wish for each person. So let's talk about movement. To disembark from the ship onto one of the ports, it will cost you 1 movement point. To move to an adjacent space of the same coloured terrain will cost you 1 movement point. If you were to climb to another level or another zone, so for instance from the beach to the forest, it's marked here 2 dots, which means that it costs 2 movement points to move from here to here, and then a further 3 movement points to move from the forest to the mountain. But to descend to another space, it just costs 1 movement point. You can also swim from one port to another port, but this would cost you 2 movement points. On your turn, you can spend 1 movement point to help a friend in a space adjacent. You can pull them up to your level for 1 movement point. If you move your character into a space with an opponent's character, this will trigger a fight. In a fight, you'll compare your combat ability, your combat power. So Le Goupy has 2 in attack and La Rocca has 3 in attack. Now, the attacker, the player that just moved, can choose if they wish to use any of their tokens to bump up their power. So, for instance, the Goupy decides that they're going to add an extra attack, and afterwards, La Rocca can choose whether they are going to bump up their attack or not. Once this is done, it's a simple case of rolling your dice for each of the team, and the attacker who has the most points, put it up the right way around, is the winner. So we got 3 plus 4 is 7, and 3 plus 4, which is 7. Haha! What happens if there is a draw? Simple, you re-roll. Now we have 4 against 5, which means La Rocca wins. The loser of the battle turns their token over to say that they are injured. The winner of the battle will choose to displace the loser 1 space adjacent. This space cannot be a space where there is another enemy opponent. It would have to be another space adjacent, which is empty. If the losing player's team has the Sun Medallion, they give it to the other team. If you're injured and it's your turn, you cannot move into a space where there is an opponent. You cannot activate your special power, but you can move and you can search as normal. And at the end of your turn, you flip your token over and you are no longer injured. For a search action, if you're in a space and there's a search token, you can use that action to take that token. You look at it in secret and see what it is. It might be something which you can use later on, this will give you an extra movement. So you place this on your character sheet face down. You may find one which gives you an attack, and again, you place that face down. If you search and you find a pirate flag, this means that you can place out another pirate flag of your color on any of the ports that you don't already occupy. These are useful for helping you escape back onto your boat at the end of the game. If you search and you find this is a clue to where the sun god is. When one of these clues are found, you place it on this board here to indicate that it's been found in the forest. As you can see, there are 2 clues in each of the areas indicated. Also, the team that finds the first clue gets to take the Sun God medallion, and this will give them an advantage next time they find a clue. From the second clue onwards, whatever team finds a clue will then have to place a clue card into one of these zones to indicate which of the temples the sun god is hidden in. Now, if your team has the medallion at the beginning, before you do that, you get to take a card from the deck and put it into your hand. You then choose one of these cards, whichever it is, and you place it face down in its area. So stairs, color of the temple, or if the temple's square or round. You can, if you wish, not play a card from your hand, but actually play this face-up card here. You have to play this face-up in its zone and then replace it at the end of the turn. If you do not have the Sun medallion and you find a clue, you will just have to play a card from your hand, and your hand will be whittled down to maybe nothing, and in the end you might have to just play the card which is face-up. Once the last clue token has been found and that team has added a card to the selection, that means that the location of the sun idol has been found. What will happen is you will reveal all face down cards and it will be the majority that wins. So in this case, we are looking for a square temple. It's the majority that wins. Here we have equality. So it would be the last card played which would dictate what color the square temple is. In this case, it is green. And if we reveal these two, they both say that it is a 1 staircased temple. So the sun god idol is in this temple here because it's square, it's green, and it has 1 staircase. It can't be in any of the others. And now it's a race to get this back to your ship. Pick up the idol. You need to be in the same space as the idol. And it doesn't cost you any actions, but you need to have a space free on your character sheet. As I said, the pirate flags are important. Oops, he said flipping it over. Your character will have to arrive at one of the ports with your colored flag to win the game, but they can be stopped in combat. If another player chooses to fight them and they lose, obviously they get moved into a space adjacent and they drop the idol, which means that the other players can pick it up. As I said, the first team that can get the idol to a port with their color flag on it wins the game. So now we're on to the review part of the game. So, it is a board game that every member of the Jones family is going to treasure. See what I did there? Yes, this game is a family game. It's not really aimed at anyone else but a family. Hardcore gamers that have played with this game, they kind of walk away with the table saying, yeah, it's okay. There's no real love for the game. But when you play this game with families, or you watch families play this game, you see that there's a real kind of love for this game come out. And again, the mechanics themselves are kind of really simple, but again, some of them are interesting and some of them are dumb. So the interesting mechanics, let's start with them, are the cards and getting to deduce which one of these temples the treasure is in, which is always a good, fun part of the game, as if you're playing in teams with more than just 2 players, you can discuss which card to play when you find a clue, and that's where the fun plays. You know, you'll go, okay, we want to really try and get it to that temple there because that's near to where I am, and that's where we can escape there. And so, like, you'll be playing clues to dictate that the treasure is going to be here. But the other team are going to be doing the same. And again, sometimes you'll see some information because some cards will be played face up and most of them will be played face down. And that's where the fun comes out from the game. That's a really interesting mechanic. The moving around is like any kind of game. The mechanic works really well. The fighting is where the game falls down. Yes, you're rolling a dice technically. But there is another game which does very much the same thing. Jamaica. It has this really great mechanic of someone rolls these dice and that decides what values things are going to happen, and the players play cards and they either collect stuff or they move or they go backwards. But again, it has this combat where it just depends on this dice. You can pay tokens to up your attack level, but if the dice denies you any good result, then you've lost. And this game does the same thing. But is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? Well, for experienced gamers, they think it's a bad thing. But for family gamers, that's a great mechanic. Playing with 2 players is pretty good. It works. But the game really shines when you play with 4 or 6. I haven't played with 8 players, but with 4 and 6, this game really shines because there is this communication, there's this cooperation in between your team. You know, you're discussing what you're going to do. I'm going to attack them. Oh, they're going to. Oh, I better go there. Oh, what card should we play? And that really comes out really, really strongly in the game, and it really does affect the gameplay because, again, when you eavesdrop on the other team, that's fun. Yeah, that's not cheating. That's fun. What are we going to do? Okay, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, but yeah, 2 or 4 players, it plays good. Again, if you're playing with a family, it's good because if your family's split up, you know, so you have children on either side, half your family is going to go to bed happy because they won, and the other will be going crying to bed. But but unlike a lot of other games where it's like your daddy wins and then everyone else goes to bed crying. But this gives a nice equal chance for both sides of your family to be happy or be sad. But again, that's where this game comes alive, is in the cooperation between the 2 teams. And not a lot of games do that either. The game is a little swingy and a bit luck dependent on, you know, where you're going for the tokens. Again, there is that chart which tells you which treasures have been found and where. So if all the forest treasures, if the forest clues have been found, you know not to search the forest. So you go to the mountains or you go to the sand, the beach. That's useful. Everything that you find is useful, but you really want to find the clues because you really want to put the treasure in a certain temple, which is probably nearer to an escape point or nearer to where most of your characters are. Again, playing as a team, you're not going to be playing a lot of characters at once. You're possibly having your own individual characters, and that lets you get into the role a bit more. If you're playing a 2-player game, 1 against 1, you've got 3 characters to manage, and you don't really get into it as much as you do if you've got 1 individual character sheet and you've got 1 power, and so you're there thinking, okay, what am I going to do on my turn? I'm going to do this, this, and this. Okay, what I'm going to do, Mum, is I'm going to do this, this, and this. Is that all right with you? Yeah, and go. So having more players will get people more into their roles and their character sheets, which is really good. Talking about the characters, the conquistadors do feel superior to the adventurers wherever it comes to attacking. There is a good chance that they will always win, and there is also the possibility that if your child is playing as an adventurer, that they're going to get attacked a lot and they're going to lose a lot and they're going to be a bit tearful. But the game is balanced if you play with the powers. The adventurer's powers are pretty cool as well. They let you do things that you can't normally do. You can search more. You can spend a search action to move someone else. there's lots of possibilities. So I'd always recommend playing with the powers, because playing without the powers, the game feels a bit flat. As I said in how to play the game, it is very important that you put your characters in the right positions, because that will affect the game a lot. If you put the characters in such a position that it doesn't really work for you, it might ruin your gaming experience. So there's a strategy in which order your characters are going to be played in. That is played out pretty well in some games that I've played. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. The board and the components are all very good. The art is luxurious and beautiful, and as you probably saw, it does have an air of the cities of gold. I want to watch Akira now for some reason. But yeah, the components themselves are solid. You'll have to do a bit of stickering on the characters. You'll have to do a bit of stickering with the terrain, because you need to stick all this together. It doesn't come like this. But after you figure it out, it all fits into place. The cards are good, the art is good, the components are solid, everything is really great. These could have been a bit thicker. These could have been on card. But hey ho, that's a little nitpick. The rulebook is okay. I'm gonna say something. Someone quoted on one of my videos that there's no such thing as a perfect rulebook. I would have to agree. This is one of those instances where there is a perfect rulebook. Everything in this rulebook is laid out perfectly. It explains it. I don't know why I even did a kind of video to explain how to play the game, because everything in here is perfect. If you can't read this and understand how the game works, I mean, this is in French and I read it and understood it perfectly, and if there was a question, I knew where to find it. There's little blocks in, there's chapter sections there. Everything is laid out and there's perfect diagrams, and then everything you need to know is on the back here. So again, it's color coded as well. Combat is red, actions are green, and then searching is yellow. Perfect rulebook. One of the sad things about this game is once you've played it, you don't want to play it again instantly. You'll probably play it a couple of weeks later, but you won't want to go, let's play that again, because it was so excellent. But you'll have stories to come away with, and you'll pack it away and you go, that was a good adventure, Indy. You know, you did really good then. But as I said earlier, experienced gamers will think this game is meh. And that's probably because they've probably played Tobago or Tobago, tomato, which is pretty much a similar game, but you're not playing in teams, you're all individually looking for treasure on an island, and it has a very, very deep strategic deduction element where you're placing clues to where treasures are going to be, and you're constantly going to treasures and treasures and treasures. So my preference, my cup of tea would be to play Tobago, but this is a fantastic family game, and what else can I say? It's the same kind of thing, but this is familiar. So, is this game my cup of tea? My Board Game Geek rating is here. Yes, it's not too bad a game. I enjoy it, but as I said, I prefer playing Tobago, which is a bit more adult and a bit more. So, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful in deciding whether this is a game for you and your family. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, or one of these new YouTube heart thingies, whatever it is. Yeah, it's got a heart on it, like that. And if you want to help contribute towards my show, you can go to my Patreon and throw a few pennies my way. You might want to get yourself some promos or some t-shirts or something. So go and check that out on Patreon. And go to boardgameseverybodyshould.com if you want to see everything there, and if you want a link to Patreon, it's there, but there's a link in the notes underneath this video. Anywho, so ciao for now, and remember, you don't have to buy every single board game that's out there. You just need to own a few good ones, and hopefully you've decided for yourself whether this is a good one for you.
Oh wow, I rolled a 1. I believe I've earned a critical failure song, gentlemen.
Just sitting at the table next to Felicia would be quite nice.
but nobody has no shame. So I play solo, just me